The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a tropical storm watch for the following counties: Berrien, Van Buren, Cass, Allegan, Ottawa, Muskegon, Kent, Barrie, Kalamazoo, St. Joseph. A tropical storm watch means that tropical storm conditions, which are sustained winds of 39 miles per hour or higher associated with a tropical storm, are possible within 48 hours. Tropical Depression 10 has formed over northern Lake Michigan based on satellite Dvorak estimation and recent recon data, including Muskegon and St. Joseph. Within the next 48 hours, tropical storm force winds are possible Saturday night into Tuesday morning. As of the 5:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time advisory, Tropical Depression 10 is located 50 miles west of Traverse City, Michigan, currently stationary. Maximum sustained winds are near 35 miles per hour, with higher gusts. On its current track, Tropical Depression 10 is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm later today, with landfall expected Monday afternoon, before turning towards the west towards Chicago. Storm surge of 2 to 4 feet is expected along the coast. Monitor all local media and NOAA weather radio for the latest information on this storm.
Tropical storm conditions possible along the Great Lakes from newly formed Tropical Storm Jerry. Tropical storm watch remains in effect for the area until the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a hurricane watch for all of southwest Michigan. A hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions, which are winds of 64 knots or 74 miles per hour or higher, are expected within the next 48 hours. Tropical Storm Jerry is expected to impact West Michigan within the next 72 hours. Tropical storm force winds are expected to start on Saturday, with hurricane force winds expected to start Sunday afternoon, and lasting until Monday evening. Storm surge of 4 to 6 feet is expected along the lakeshore. All boaters are advised to report back to port by Friday afternoon before the onset of tropical storm conditions on Saturday. Tropical Storm Jerry currently has maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, with gusts up to 65 miles per hour. On the current forecast track, Jerry is expected to make landfall near South Haven, Michigan, paralleling the coast, before turning west towards Chicago, with the second landfall as a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 105 miles per hour are expected. Be prepared to evacuate once a hurricane warning is issued, or once told by local authorities. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a hurricane warning for the following counties in West Michigan: Allegan, Cass, Berrien, Van Buren, Ottawa, Muskegon, Kent, Barrie, Kalamazoo, St. Joseph. At 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the eye of Hurricane Jerry was located near latitude 43.69 north 87.06 west, or above 31 miles south-southwest of Pentwater, Michigan, moving south at 1 mile per hour. Jerry is currently a dangerous Category 2 hurricane, with winds up to 100 miles per hour, with gusts up to 120 miles per hour. Jerry has been moving slowly to the south at 1 mile per hour for the past several hours. It is expected that the forward motion of Jerry will increase to at least 4 miles per hour within the next 12 to 24 hours. Hurricane Jerry is expected to make landfall near South Haven, Michigan on Sunday, with winds of up to 120 miles per hour. Jerry will weaken very little after landfall due to being barely on shore before turning west and headed towards Chicago, where Jerry is expected to intensify a little more, with winds increasing to 140 miles per hour before landfall in Chicago. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. 8 to 14 feet of storm surge is expected along the coast due to this storm, and it is strongly recommended that you evacuate if you are along the coast due to the extreme storm surge threat. A storm surge warning is also in effect for the threat of extremely dangerous storm surge. Stay tuned to your weather radio and local news stations for more information on this dangerous hurricane. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a flash flood watch for all of West Michigan until 12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Thursday, September 19th. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Hurricane Jerry, which has been moving southward very slowly, has been growing in size. The precipitation field of Jerry is now 90 miles wide, spread evenly from the eye. Jerry has continued to grow in size due to eye wall replacement cycles, and the storm continues to intensify despite the presence of these concentric eye walls. Due to current trends, Jerry is forecast to grow to a radius of potentially up to 300 miles wide. The growing size combined with the very slow forward speed of the hurricane is expected to cause extensive rainfall. Rainfall totals are forecast to be in the 20 to 30-inch range, with some areas potentially exceeding 40 inches of rain. This will cause widespread catastrophic flooding, comparable to flooding seen during Hurricane Harvey back in 2017 in Texas. The rain will start in the area Saturday morning, with rain likely to continue to fall until Wednesday of next week. Even after the rain stops, some rivers might continue to rise, and might not crest that peak until after the heaviest rain has moved out in some cases. If this verifies, the flash flood watch might be extended beyond Thursday morning. A flash flood watch means that conditions may develop that lead to flash flooding. Flash flooding is a very dangerous situation. You should monitor later forecasts and be prepared to take action should flash flood warnings be issued. The National Weather Service in Detroit Pontiac has issued a tornado watch for all of southeast Michigan until 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, September 15th. The outer bands of Hurricane Jerry will start spread into southeast Michigan as the hurricane continues to grow in size and strength. There is an increasing risk of tornadoes in the stronger cells in the coming squalls. The tornado watch area consists of southeast Michigan south of the Interstate 69 corridor, where the highest risk of tornadoes will occur. While many tornadoes will be around EF0 to EF1 strength, there is the potential for the strongest cells to produce tornadoes of EF2 strength or stronger. Remember, a tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms in and close to the watch area. Persons in these areas should be on the lookout for threatening weather conditions and listen for later statements and possible warnings. Here is the latest information on Hurricane Jerry. As of 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 14, 2019, Jerry is an extremely dangerous Category 3 hurricane, with winds up to 125 miles per hour, with gusts up to 150 miles per hour. Tropical storm force winds extend out 145 miles from the center, while hurricane force winds extend out 40 miles from the center. Jerry has continued to strengthen despite continued wall replacement cycles, and Jerry is expected to make landfall in South Haven, Michigan tomorrow, with winds up to 145 miles per hour. The storm will then hug the coastline for up to 5 hours, maintaining its strength, and turning to the west, where additional intensification is expected, and Jerry is forecast to make landfall in Chicago at Category 5 strength, with winds up to 160 miles per hour. Jerry will slowly move inland and stall as it turns to the south-southeast, slowly weakening as the storm moves inland due to brown ocean effect. Rainfall totals from Jerry will potentially exceed 45 inches, where the rainfall's heaviest. This will lead to catastrophic and historic flooding, with many rivers forecast to go well beyond record flood stages. Storm surge of 12 to 18 feet is expected along the Lake Michigan coastline. Tornado emergency for the northern Metro Detroit area. This is a particularly dangerous situation. The National Weather Service in Detroit-Pontiac has issued a tornado warning for the following counties in southeast Michigan, Livingston and Wayne, until 11:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 10:39 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located 5 miles southwest of Novi, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. This is a tornado emergency for the northern Metro Detroit area. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Hazard: deadly tornado. Source: law enforcement and the public confirmed large wedge tornado with reports of catastrophic damage near Plymouth Township, Michigan. Impact: you are in a life-threatening situation. You could be killed if not underground, or in a tornado shelter. Flying debris will be deadly to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be destroyed. Considerable damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles is likely, and complete destruction is possible. Locations impacted include Novi, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield Township, Franklin, Bloomfield Township, Bloomfield Hills, and Pontiac. To repeat, a large, extremely dangerous, and potentially deadly tornado is on the ground. To protect your life, take cover now. Move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are in a mobile home, a vehicle, or outdoors, move to the closest substantial shelter, and protect yourself from flying debris. A large and extremely dangerous tornado is on the ground. Take immediate tornado precautions. This is an emergency situation. Flash flood emergency for the Grand Rapids area. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a flash flood warning for Kent, Allegan, Ottawa, Muskegon, until 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 1:18 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated heavy rain across the warned area. Life-threatening flash flooding is already occurring. This is a flash flood emergency for the Grand Rapids metropolitan area, especially in Kent, Ottawa, and Muskegon counties. Seek higher ground now. Some locations that will experience flooding include downtown Grand Rapids, Wyoming, Grandville, Comstock Park, Grandville, Ada, Forest Hills, Allendale Charter Township, Polkton Charter Township, Spring Lake, Ferrisburg, Grand Haven. Move to higher ground now. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under an evacuation order. Be especially cautious at night when it is harder to recognize the dangers of flooding. A flash flood warning means that flooding is imminent or occurring. If you are in the warned area, move to higher ground immediately. Residents living along streams and creeks should take immediate precautions to protect life and property. Latest information on Hurricane Jerry at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 14, 2019. Advisory 9A. Hurricane Jerry is currently an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane, with winds around 145 miles per hour and gusts up to 175 miles per hour. Tropical storm force winds extend out 207 miles from the center, while hurricane force winds extend out 56 miles from the center. Jerry is currently moving south at 3 miles per hour, and is expected to maintain this pace for the next several hours. On the current track, Jerry is expected to continue to intensify up until landfall in South Haven, Michigan, where Jerry is now forecast to make landfall as a Category 5 with winds up to 165 miles per hour. The first landfall is expected to occur between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Sunday. Jerry will weaken slightly after making landfall in South Haven, with winds decreasing to 145 miles per hour, before emerging back over the extremely warm lake waters and re-intensifying over Lake Michigan to attain winds of 190 miles per hour just before landfall in Chicago. After landfall in Chicago, the storm will slowly move inland and stall as it turns to the southeast, where the storm's forward motion is expected to increase and potentially emerge over the Atlantic by mid to late week next week as a tropical storm. Hazards: extreme winds of 160 miles per hour or greater are expected in the eye wall, causing tornado-like damage to homes and businesses. Storm surge of 14 to 20 feet is expected with this storm, in addition to severe seeches after the storm due to displaced water.
It's currently 9 o'clock a.m. here in West Michigan. Good morning, I am meteorologist Mike Bryant, bringing you continuing coverage of Hurricane Jerry. As of the latest advisory we got from the National Hurricane Center, Jerry currently has winds of 155 miles per hour with gusts up to 180 miles an hour, and it is centered 15 miles west of Saugatuck, Michigan, moving to the south-southeast at 4 miles per hour. We already have very dangerous conditions occurring along the coastline today. We have a report out of St. Joseph that there's a storm surge of 9.25 feet, and we also have another report out of South Haven of storm surge values up to 14.5 feet already, likely causing catastrophic flooding and worsening river flooding from the heavy rainfall. The storm is currently centered 22 miles away from South Haven, and if we calculate the current forward motion of the storm at 4 miles an hour, if it maintains the speed, we're looking at landfall in South Haven in 5.5 hours from now. The National Weather Service will likely consider an extreme wind warning, which will likely be issued very soon for the eye wall of this storm. And we expect this eye wall to come ashore in at least 3 hours from now, bringing destructive 155 mile an hour winds with it. If you are in the path of the eye and eye wall, you need to be treating the situation like a tornado is approaching and get below ground if possible. If you cannot get below ground, go to an interior room at the centermost portion of your home and stay away from windows. These winds can cause damage equivalent to that of an EF3 or EF4 tornado over a large area. This hurricane has already claimed the lives of 27 people from violent tornadoes and catastrophic flooding, and we do not want to see any more from this storm. Although we know it is likely there may be more, we'd rather not see it. We will now go live to South Haven, where
The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued an extreme wind warning for southwestern Allegan County, western Van Buren County, and northern Berrien County until 3:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 9:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated extreme winds in excess of 145 miles per hour, associated with the eye wall of Hurricane Jerry, were moving onshore. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Take cover now. Treat these imminent extreme winds as if a tornado was approaching, and move immediately to the safe room in your shelter. Take action now to protect your life. The safest place to be during a major landfalling hurricane is in a reinforced interior room away from windows, or in a basement, if one is available. Get under a table or other piece of sturdy furniture. Use mattresses, blankets, or pillows to cover your head and body. Remain in place through the passage of these life-threatening conditions. You are listening to No Weather Radio serving the Grand Rapids area, on a frequency of 182.58 MHz. Here is the latest advisory on Hurricane Jerry, Advisory Number 12A, issued at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hurricane Jerry has made landfall in South Haven, Michigan, with winds of up to 165 miles per hour and wind gusts up to 195 miles per hour, and a minimum pressure of 908 millibars. The center of Hurricane Jerry is currently over South Haven, Michigan, moving south at 4 miles per hour. Tropical storm force winds extend out 230 miles, while hurricane force winds extend out 60 miles. On the current track, Hurricane Jerry is expected to start to turn towards the west within the next few hours, and emerge over the warm waters of Lake Michigan later this afternoon. Some slight weakening is possible while the center of Jerry remains just inland. Jerry is expected to possibly rapidly intensify over Lake Michigan, to attain winds of 190 miles per hour, just before making landfall in Chicago. After Chicago landfall, the storm will slowly crawl inland, and make a turn towards the south, then turn towards the east, while forward motion increases. The current forecast track has Jerry remaining a hurricane all the way into the Ohio Valley due to brown ocean effect. Jerry is then expected to emerge over the Atlantic by mid to late week as a tropical storm, where the storm has the potential to re-strengthen. Hazards affecting our area. Hurricane Jerry is currently bringing winds of 165 miles per hour to parts of West Michigan, causing potentially catastrophic structural damage. A storm surge of 15 to 20 feet is being pushed to shore, with the potential of post-storm seeches happening due to displacement of water on the lake. Stay tuned to No Weather Radio for more information on Hurricane
if you aren't just joining us, Hurricane Jerry has made landfall in South Haven, Michigan. We do not know the full scope of the damage already, but we have been getting reports that the damage has been already catastrophic in South Haven, Michigan. And we know that there could be a lot of casualties. And we're going to show you right now a picture of all the damage that has occurred so far in South Haven, Michigan. Look at all the damage there. You can see the entire structures have been severely damaged and potentially destroyed. Starting from stuttering, this is just hard to cope with how bad this damage has been. And the fact we have never dealt with a storm like this. This storm has already been historic in every way. And we know that Chicago could be next in this dangerous hurricane. The worst is yet to come.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Michigan Emergency Management Association. Catastrophic damage has been reported throughout parts of Allegan, Van Buren, and Berrien counties in West Michigan due to Hurricane Jerry's landfall. Although the threat of further extreme winds from Hurricane Jerry is now over in West Michigan, a lot of roads in the said counties are likely impassable due to downed trees, power lines, and debris on the roadways. 90% of customers in the affected counties are without electrical power and running water at the moment, and it is unknown when these services will be restored. If you are in the affected counties, be prepared to be without power and water services for an extended period of time. Be prepared for the possibility of evacuations to alternative locations during the duration of this emergency. Stay tuned to TV8 and other news stations for more information on the situation. The following message is transmitted at the request of Cook County Emergency Management. This is a mandatory evacuation order for the Chicago area along Lake Michigan. Hurricane Jerry is headed towards the Chicago metropolitan area and is expected to make landfall tomorrow evening as a Category 5 hurricane with winds up to 190 miles per hour. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. All coastal areas in a storm surge area need to be evacuating immediately. Storm surge flooding is already being reported in some coastal areas in Chicago. All residents in the evacuation zone are advised to load up your car with essentials, including a first aid kit, enough food and water to last 3 days per person, and a battery-powered radio. A list of available shelters will be available on the internet on reliable news websites. To repeat, there is a very high risk of storm surge flooding in coastal Chicago. Evacuate now. The National Weather Service in Chicago has issued an extreme wind warning for all of Cook County and eastern DuPage County until 11:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 5:05 p.m. Central Daylight Time, National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated extreme winds in excess of 180 miles per hour, associated with the eye wall of Hurricane Jerry, were quickly moving on shore. This is a potential mass casualty situation. Take cover now. Treat these imminent extreme winds as if a tornado was approaching, and move immediately to the safe room in your shelter. Widespread destructive winds of 175 to 200 miles per hour will be spreading across northern Illinois, producing swaths of tornado-like damage. Mobile homes will be completely destroyed. Considerable damage to homes and businesses will occur, and complete destruction is possible. To repeat, extreme winds in excess of 180 miles per hour, associated with the eye wall of Hurricane Jerry, are moving on shore. Take action now to protect your life. Here is the latest update on Hurricane Jerry. Hurricane Jerry has made landfall in Chicago as an extremely dangerous Category 5 hurricane, with winds up to 190 miles per hour and a minimum pressure of 892 millibars. On its current forecast track, Jerry is expected to slowly move inland, slowly weakening before turning south, and then accelerating to the south-southeast. Jerry will maintain hurricane status into the Ohio Valley due to the influence of a strong brown ocean effect. Jerry is then expected to emerge into the Atlantic as a tropical storm by late week. Hazards for our area: continued extreme winds in excess of 180 miles per hour can be expected throughout the next few hours, while the storm slowly weakens. Storm surge of 14 to 22 feet is expected in coastal area. Rainfall totals due to the slow movement of Jerry are expected to be in the 30 to 40 inch range, with some areas potentially exceeding 50 inches of rain. This rainfall will lead to catastrophic and historic flooding. Impacts on the scale are unprecedented, and beyond anything ever experienced in this region. The following message is transmitted at the request of the Cook County Emergency Management. Hurricane Jerry has caused catastrophic damage across the Chicago metro area, ranging from windows blown out and skyscrapers to homes being completely swept away by storm surge or flash flooding, and homes being completely leveled by extreme winds. Well over 600 people have been reported to be killed in the Chicago metro area, with those numbers likely to rise in the coming hours and days. The entire Chicago metropolitan area is without electricity and 60% of the area is without running water. If you are in the Chicago metropolitan area, keep listening to your local news and radio stations for more information on where evacuation centers are and where to get proper aid. If your home is severely damaged or destroyed, head to a public shelter. If your home is still standing, continue to shelter in place until further notice, and prepare to be without some services for weeks.